You will notice from here that it is not a condition that the agreement should be in writing. As far as section 10 is concerned, an oral agreement is as good as a written agreement. It will be further noticed that this section does not require that the agreement should be made in presence of witnesses. Therefore, an agreement made in presence of witnesses is as good an agreement as an agreement which is not made in presence of witnesses. Lastly, this section does not require that the agreement should be registered, which means an unregistered agreement is as good an agreement as a registered agreement. These three requirements are not a part of the requirements specified in section 10. However, if a law requires a contract to be made in writing or in presence of witnesses, like the Transfer of Property Act, or if a law requires registration of documents, like the Registration Act, then the provisions of such laws will override the provisions of section 10, or in other words, the provisions of section 10 shall not affect the provisions of such laws. The requirements of laws like the Transfer of Property Act and the Registration Act will be applicable for the purposes of those acts. As far as the Contract Act is concerned, there is no requirement that the agreement should be made in writing. There is no requirement that it should be made in presence of witnesses. There is no requirement that it should be registered.